There is a woman who appears in AI-generated images that nobody programmed her into. A video game from 1981 that caused seizures, blackouts, and suicidal thoughts, except no copy of it has ever been found. A YouTube channel that uploaded over 600,000 videos of red and blue rectangles with no explanation. A layer of the internet that supposedly requires quantum computers to access and contains the darkest secrets of every government on Earth. A Google Translate glitch that produces prophecies in dead languages when you type specific nonsense phrases. And a horror game discovered on the dark web that nobody can confirm was ever there. 6 rabbit holes. None of them fully explained. All of them real enough to keep thousands of people searching years after they should have stopped. Let's go through them. 1. Loab. In April 2022, a digital artist called Supercomposite was experimenting with negative prompt weights, a technique where instead of telling an AI image generator what to create, you tell it to create the opposite of a specific concept. She typed a negative prompt for a logo featuring nonsense words. The AI produced what it calculated to be the furthest possible concept from a corporate logo. What it produced was a woman, red-cheeked, hollow-eyed, gaunt, unsettling in a way that was difficult to immediately explain. Supercomposite named her Loab for a word that appeared in one of the early images and began experimenting. She combined Loab with other neutral images. A glass tunnel, a forest, an empty room. Every combination veered immediately into graphic horror, gore, violence, disturbing scenarios involving children that Supercomposite chose not to publish. No matter how many generational combinations she ran, how many times she fed Loab's image into new prompts with unrelated material, Loab persisted. And she always pulled the output toward darkness. The technical explanation is that something about the cluster of concepts the AI associates with Loab sits adjacent to extremely gory and macabre content in the distribution of its training data. Supercomposite put it this way: Loab is the last face you see before you fall off the edge of the map. What that means in plain language is that when the AI was trained on the internet's images, billions of them, whatever visual characteristics define Loab, ended up statistically clustered next to some of the darkest content humans have ever produced. She isn't haunted. She isn't supernatural. She is a reflection of what the internet actually contains, surfaced by accident from a model that learned everything it knows from us. That might be the most disturbing thing about her. 2. Polybius. In 1981, a mysterious arcade cabinet appeared in several arcades in Portland, Oregon. Players who tried it couldn't stop. They returned obsessively, becoming aggressive, withdrawn, reporting nightmares, seizures, and suicidal thoughts after playing. Men in black suits appeared periodically at the arcades, opened the machine, recorded data from it, and left. They showed no interest in the coins. Then the machines vanished. No record survived. No cabinet was ever found. The game was called Polybius, and there is no evidence it ever existed. The earliest known written reference to Polybius appeared in 1998, 17 years after the game supposedly operated. The supposed publisher, Sinneslution, German for sense deletion, has no corporate record anywhere. No video footage exists. No surviving cabinet has ever surfaced despite decades of searching by collectors and enthusiasts who have cataloged virtually every other obscure arcade machine from the period. What researchers have established is that the legend almost certainly formed by blending real but unrelated events, a documented arcade illness case in Portland in the early 80s, government interest in behavioral research during the Cold War, and cultural anxiety about the effects of screens on young people. The story spread through early internet forums and kept absorbing detail until it became too specific to dismiss easily. What makes Polybius genuinely interesting is what happened after the debunking. People built physical Polybius cabinets based on what they imagined the machine might have looked like. A novel based on the legend was published in April 2025. 2 video games claiming connection to the original appeared in 2007 and 2017. The myth created a real object that now exists even though the original never did. 3. WebDriver torso. In 2013, a YouTube channel began uploading videos at a rate no human could sustain. Every 1 to 15 minutes, a new video appeared, each 11 seconds long, each showing a blue rectangle and a red rectangle moving around a white background, accompanied by a beeping tone. No description, no explanation, cryptic file names like TMPR 0UIIM. By 2014, the channel had uploaded over 80,000 videos. The internet found it and immediately spiraled. Numbers station, alien communication, cicada, 3301. A coded message from a government intelligence agency. Discord servers formed to analyze every pixel and tone. Journalists began covering it. Then YouTube confirmed it was their own internal testing account, created by Google engineers in Zurich to test how much quality video loses during upload and streaming. The rectangles were uploaded and compared against originals to detect compression degradation. The channel had been accidentally left public. YouTube announced the explanation with a Rick Astley joke. By 2017, the channel had uploaded 624,774 videos. It has posted sporadically since. 5 videos appeared in early 2025. The mystery was mundane. But the scale was real. 600,000 videos of rectangles, watched and analyzed by thousands of people looking for a pattern that wasn't there, is a genuinely strange artifact of the internet age, a machine testing itself in public, unaware it was being watched. 4. The Marianas Web. The internet is described as an iceberg. The surface web, everything Google can find, is the visible tip, representing less than 5% of all online content. Below that is the deep web, academic databases, private networks, medical records, anything not indexed by search engines. Below that is the dark web, accessible only through specialized software like Tor, home to illegal markets, forums, and content too dangerous or illegal for the surface. And supposedly, below that, accessible only through quantum computers that don't yet exist at the required scale, is the Marianas Web, named after the Marianas Trench, the deepest point in any ocean on Earth, said to contain the classified files of every major government, the secret archives of the Vatican, the location of Atlantis, and an artificial intelligence that controls the entire internet from the shadows. No credible evidence for any of it exists. The most coherent theory about the Marianas Web's origin is that it was manufactured. Cybersecurity researchers who traced the myth back through its early internet appearances found evidence suggesting it was created deliberately as a disinformation campaign, possibly by hackers who had been compromised and were spreading rumors to distract attention from law enforcement takedowns of dark web black markets, including the Silk Road. If true, the Marianas Web is the rare internet myth that was built as a tool, a story designed to be unsolvable and endlessly compelling, pulling attention toward a fiction and away from something real. The fact that it still generates genuine investigation and breathless forum threads decades later suggests it worked. 5. User 927 and the Google Translate anomalies. In 2012, users experimenting with Google Translate's audio function began posting about something strange. When certain nonsense or repeated phrases were entered, particularly in Somali, which Google Translate had limited training data for at the time, the audio output produced coherent phrases in other languages. Some sounded like warnings, some like prophecies. One famous example produced what appeared to be a countdown. Others produced phrases that users translated as references to biblical end times. The technical explanation from linguists and machine learning researchers is relatively straightforward. When a language has insufficient training data, the translation model fills gaps by pulling from statistical patterns in the data it does have, which for many low-resource languages was dominated by religious texts, specifically translations of the Bible and the Quran. Nonsense input with no clear semantic meaning caused the model to default to high-frequency religious language from its training corpus. But the specificity of some outputs kept the rabbit hole open. User 927 became a persistent figure in forums discussing the anomalies, an account that supposedly first documented the most alarming examples, then disappeared. Whether user 927 was a real person, a collaborative fiction, or a coordinated ARG starting point has never been confirmed. The original posts are gone. The outputs themselves, when replicated, have changed as Google updated its translation models. What remains is a community of people who spent years trying to decode machine-generated noise as if it were a message, and who, in doing so, produced documentation of something genuinely strange about how language models fail at the edges of their training data. 6. Sad Satan. On June 25, 2015, a YouTuber named Jamie Farrell, who ran a channel called Obscure Horror Corner, posted the first of 5 gameplay videos for a game he said a subscriber had sent him via a link on the dark web. The game was called Sad Satan. The gameplay was walking through dark monochrome corridors with no objectives and no win conditions. At irregular intervals, audio samples played, screaming, Charles Manson monologues, music played backward, images flashed on screen, political figures, crime scene photographs, references to occult material. The graphics were rough. The design was amateurish. And it was immediately, viscerally disturbing in a way that conventional horror games rarely are. The videos went viral. A subreddit formed. 4chan began investigating. Then researchers found that the dark web link Farrell claimed to have received was not just dead, it was structurally invalid. It had never been a real Tor address. The game almost certainly hadn't come from the dark web at all. Farrell maintained he had no idea who made it and wasn't behind it himself. A second version of the game appeared on 4chan, and this one contained actual illegal material, including an image of child sexual abuse. Anyone who downloaded it found their computer compromised by malware. The community largely abandoned it after that. The original Sad Satan still has no confirmed creator. No one knows who ZK was, the pseudonym attached to the dark web upload. The link was fake, but the game was real, produced by someone who understood exactly how to calibrate discomfort, embedded it in a false origin story that made it feel more dangerous than it was, and then disappeared. The creator has never come forward. The original version has never been fully documented. 10 years later, it remains one of the most precisely manufactured pieces of digital horror ever encountered online. And nobody knows who made it or why. 6 rabbit holes. Some explained, some not. All of them products of the same thing: the internet's capacity to generate, amplify, and permanently preserve experiences of the uncanny. The woman in the AI images. The game that caused seizures and was never found. The machine uploading rectangles to itself in public, the myth built to deceive, the translation model speaking in tongues, and the horror game with a creator who never existed or never wants to be known. The rabbit holes are open. Whether you go further is up to you.